So real estate can be a very scary thing if you don't know what you're doing. And it's full of scams, con artists, people just trying to take advantage of you. I'm on a mission to educate you to spot these things, and I've been talking about every scam I can think of here on this YouTube channel when it comes to real estate. As a real estate agent, real estate professional, real estate investor, I see about a new one every week, and I want to educate y'all on how to spot these to make sure you don't fall for it. When you're trying to buy or sell one of the largest purchases in your life, it can be pretty scary, and that's why I think education is one of our best protections on not falling for these guys. So let's talk about it in this video. I'm going to go over one that I think everybody should understand. So the first thing I want to talk about is the We Buy Houses Cash scam. Now I want to tell you what is a scam and what isn't a scam. And after this explanation, you'll be able to tell what's right and what's wrong. So here's a crash course in how wholesaling works. There is a sector of real estate out there that is distressed properties. So have you ever seen those signs on the side of the road that says We Buy Houses Cash? You know, the ones that look like this. And as you're driving across town, you'll see them on every stop sign, every stop intersection, in front of every liquor store. Well, what those guys are doing is they're trying to target distressed properties, people in distressed financial situations and need to get rid of a house they don't know what to do with. And there is a legitimate business called wholesaling, where they take a property and they say, I will give you cash for this property, X amount, and what they're going to do is take that contract once it's signed and sell it to another person. They're going to sign the contract and they're going to take the split between what they said they're going to give you and what the person buys the contract for. They're going to make that split. That's called wholesaling. And in most states, it's legal. Some states have started saying, hey, you need to have a license because you're a real estate agent. And I think a lot of them operate as a real estate agent. But, you know, that's not my opinion. It's up to the state legislature. There are some companies out there that do this legitimately. You can usually look them up and say, okay, this is so-and-so at We Buy Houses Cash. They run a legitimate business. A lot of them, you know, have an actual business license, or they have an LLC that they do this all the time. But then there's a group of people that are very nefarious. Did I say that right? The people that will take advantage of you. And here's how that works. Usually they operate underneath the slander of title approach. So what they're going to do, and digital signatures really allowed this to take hold, where they can do this from afar, never seeing somebody. So they'll usually have a call bank somewhere, and they'll just start calling people in certain areas. Calling. They usually target the elderly, and being where they target the distressed properties, they're looking for people that don't understand how real estate works. They don't know how contracts work, and always these contracts are loaded for them. I had this happen recently. It was about 2 weeks ago. Navigated one of these exact same situations where they'll call, you know, somebody, and they usually know how old these, you know, people they're calling are, because most of it's public record. They'll call and say, hey, I will give you, and it'll be an at the money price, a really good offer. I'll give you this price for your house. Usually for sale by owners is who they target because they're being advertised and it's just a quick call. They can kind of target them. And usually, for the most part, people that are selling their house for sale by owner have done this once in their life, maybe 2 times in their life. If you're trying to for sale by owner your house, be aware of this. And they will give you pretty much your price, or maybe just under it, and say, well, we're not going to be using a real estate agent, so therefore, you know, this is a great price. You digitally sign it, and what they immediately do is record it at your clerk of the court. And that puts the court on notice that there is a contract, and now they've got you, okay? You might say, well, if earnest money's not delivered, there's not a contract. And I've said this when I talked about this scam before. Check that video out. They don't have to, because in most places, just the contract being recorded is enough to cloud title enough that in most cases, a title insurance underwriter is not going to give you title insurance when you sell it to somebody else. So even if that contract's just looming out there, what they'll usually try to do, these scam artists, is get you to sign a wide contract, 6 months, 5 months, 4 months. They want it as long as possible. Even when, you know, and even in the case that I was in, it wasn't I didn't do it. It was somebody on the other side of one of the transactions. I was on the buy side, they were on the sell side. The sell side had done this. They offered it up for sale on the MLS after knowing there was a contract. And they were like, well, there was no earnest money. And every attorney and the underwriters said it doesn't matter because it's clouded title enough that a quiet title action has to take place. And in my other video, I explained quiet title action and everything. You basically got to file suit to clear the title because you've got this other notification out there. So what they'll do, they never ever wanted to actually go find a buyer. Okay, they never wanted to, sell the assignability in that contract. They're just going to hold their hand out to where when you try to sell it in the future, you've got to pay them to cancel their contract and basically quit. They do nothing. Very frustrating, and you probably say, well, we'll just sue them for slander of title. Look, most of these guys operate behind crazy LLCs that there's just a shell. They're out of Wyoming, they're out of wherever, and some of them aren't even real. Okay, because, and I talked to an attorney about this recently. I'm not an attorney. I'm just telling you how this stuff goes down. If they did it with a fake LLC and they're in a call bank in Bangladesh or India, you've got to prove that it's not real. And unless the clerk of the court, as it's being uttered across there, doesn't catch it, and criminal charges. I mean, it's real hard for them to catch these guys, okay? And if the guy's out of the country or not in the jurisdiction, well, it's really hard to prove that it's a fake LLC. Unless the title company looks it up at that moment and be like, oh, that's fake, well, whatever. The underwriter still doesn't care because he's writing a policy on this property and there's this looming thing over the top of it. This sucks. I hate this. And it's happening more and more and more. And a lot of these states are so lethargic, they don't have a quick way of clearing this stuff up. So it's either you pay $5-10 grand for a quiet title action, or you pay the scam artist $5,000 or $10,000 to go away. I'm trying not to teach this. I'm trying to just educate you to spot it, so this doesn't happen to you. And I hope this doesn't go rampant. But maybe legislatures will understand this. Maybe law enforcement will understand this is a thing. They need to learn how to spot it. And when somebody comes into their office and says, "This happened to me," they know it's real. And because I talked to a lot of title company attorneys, and they didn't even understand it when I explained it to them. The reason why I understood it is I'd been seeing it on the internet in the comment sections, and I've been trying to educate people that this is a thing. So you might be saying, how do I protect myself? Well, first of all, understand when you offer your property up for sale that you know a little bit about how this all works. If you don't, use a real estate agent. Okay, that's what they're for. And always, always, always do your research on your real estate agent before you hire them. Talk it through with them. Make them verbally tell you what I'm telling you now. Okay? But if you don't use one, understand, contract. Use a real contract. Your state has one. Like Florida has the FAR bar, the as-is Florida contract, the regular residential contract. Use a real contract. If you see something that looks like one sheet of paper written on a napkin sent over by the wholesaler, just pump the brakes, okay? I've seen contracts all sorts of ways, but the one that your state has as its actual residential contract, use something like that. Don't use a contract from Target, okay, or on LegalZoom, okay? Use a real real estate contract, okay? One that's approved. If you don't understand these things, just don't do it yourself. Make sure you see proof of funds. And proof of funds can be forged. They can be, a lot of these guys that I've seen operating have some really good proof of funds, and it's really hard to spot that they're fake. And if you call the number at the bottom of the proof of funds, you're just calling them. So it gets tough. Make it be from a legitimate bank. It looks right. Make sure the name or the entity is on the screenshot with the funds. Make sure there's earnest money and it's deposited in a timely manner to a title company that you recognize. Don't use a far off title company. If you do, research and make sure it's real. Look them up on the the government records, make sure they're real, they have a license number, and all these things dress right dress. If there's an agent on the other side that has a legit license number, you know that it's probably legitimate. Most of these guys, when they call you, they'll want to use, like, if you're a real estate agent, they'll usually hang up on you if they're talking to a real estate agent. Like, they always hang up on me. But as a seller, when they call to try to do these things, they'll always try to get your real estate agent to represent them. And this is where they know how to navigate all this stuff. A lot of their offers are just very boom, 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 dress right dress, and it's hard to figure out exactly where the pinhole is in it. But if there's no agents involved, the contract looks very, very, very sketchy, like very, very small. There's not a lot of, it's just the who, what, when, where, and why. They don't want to use a title company. Never, 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 never just do one of these quick claims, okay? Like, don't try to save money on this, okay? Use a legit title company. Get title insurance. If you're on the buy side, make sure that all the wiring is done correctly. I've seen them try to get people to do it on the courthouse steps. I've seen people try to pay real estate agents before closing, like before the contract's executed. Check all this stuff. Use your title company and don't fall for this stuff. And I hope this helped. There's a lot to it. I just hate that people are getting scammed. Don't forget to like and subscribe and comment down below if you've seen this type of thing and how you can navigate it in your eyes, because Wyoming is different than Florida. Florida is different than New York. New York's different than Louisiana. Laws are all different everywhere. If somebody says, have a real estate attorney look over it. Okay, give me 30 seconds for that one. Look, in some states, title companies have a real estate attorney there. In some states, they don't all have real estate attorneys. They just use title agents. They don't actually use a real estate attorney. They call them when they need them. It's a licensed title company or title company agent. Some states have an actual real estate attorney. Now, these real estate attorneys are not, for the most part, going to negotiate for you. They're not going to do your inspections. They're not going to do all the things. They'll fill it out and they'll put the price on it. And then when you don't like it or negotiations move, they're going to ask for more money over and over and over and over and over and over again. And some of them are just not even going to deal with you because they make too much money doing title that they're not going to do your contract, okay? And that's where real estate agents come in, negotiation, problem solving, all the tens of hundreds of hours involved in a deal around the actual contract itself. Just know that when you call a real estate attorney, some of them are not going to deal with both sides of the transaction and keeping everybody in the game and the social dynamics of that deal to getting it across. Some of them are just going to say, okay, sign here, here, and here. Here's my fee. Let me know if it falls out. Then here, here, and here. There's my other fee. And they're not going to negotiate for you. That's how that usually works out. I hope this helped y'all. I really just wanted to tell y'all that not all wholesalers are bad. Some of them do a legitimate purpose, but there are some out there that are pretty under the table, and you got to spot these things if you're going to represent yourself. Just know how the industry works, that wholesaling is a thing, that they're not going to give you cash. They're going to find somebody else that'll give you the cash, and they're going to do a double close or whatever. Some of these title companies won't let them do this stuff anymore. Some will. Some will show you at the end how much you paid that wholesaler to sell your house. But most of these wholesalers have set up long lists of buyers, cash buyers. They've spent time trying to find buyers for these properties that it's really hard to sell and most real estate agents won't even take. They do serve a purpose, but I think they need to be regulated to stop these situations like this, these shell LLCs that nobody knows who owns them, and they cloud up the whole system. Talked to an attorney this week that was dealing with another one that I described in this video. This is like a one after another thing now for title attorneys, and they can be real problematic. So I hope this helped. Comment down below. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Tell me if you have ran into this and how you fix it. See you guys later.